Today we're going to build a computer. Imagine that. Tech channel building a computer. That's a thing. And on this channel, we don't do the whole high-end things because let's be honest, there's a lot of people that can't really afford that type of stuff. That stuff is expensive. If you want to go 4090s, Intel 13 Gen and AMD, stuff like that, yeah, that stuff is great and cool, but that stuff is really expensive. And I mean, you get up there closer towards $2,000 to $4,000 just depending on the setup. It's hard to move it. It's harder to make a profit on it. So we stick to the low budget end where, you know, regular everyday people who don't have a big budget can still get into gaming, have a decent experience, and at the end of the day, I make a couple of dollars. So that's what we're going to do. So a while back, I drove to the old state of Arizona, had a great time, met a couple of viewers, and I picked up 1, 2, and 3. And pretty much the value of each one was $50. Complete systems. Well, I think that one is gutted because I moved it for another project. We'll talk about that later. But pretty much i5, 4th gen, 3rd gen, or maybe back and forth. And the same thing, I picked it up with that one, complete with SSD, 16 gigs of DDR3 and all that stuff. And I've already flipped one, and I'll talk about that in just a sec. But today, we're gonna be focusing on this guy over here. And of course, I didn't make it easy when I put it away to grab it because I need that one and not that one. Great. And then another video, I went ahead and I picked up this junky computer, and I'll post pictures if I did save them. This one didn't have a lot of value, and I paid like $50 for it. And long story short, it was an FX CPU. I think it was the 6300 or whatever it is. Had a good motherboard for that year, but the case was pretty decent. It had RGB. It had an SSD, good power supply, all that stuff, and I was able to take that, put in an i5 4th gen, flip that computer really quick, made some decent profit on that. So that worked out pretty well. And then as far as that old FX motherboard, I sold it on eBay. It was an MSI variant, one of the high-end ones, and it sold for $90. So older hardware, even though it's old, there's still value to somebody. I need to put this one together, get a ladder, hope I don't fall and crash into this car over here, which, by the way, this is not my new one. If you've been following my auto channel, DLM Garage, I've been getting cars real cheap, fixing them, flipping them, and even keeping one for myself. This is actually a repair for a buddy of mine, Chevy Cruze. And if you're curious on timing chains and coolant leaks on that, subscribe to DLM Garage. That would definitely be on the channel. So this is just the case. It doesn't have any guts inside, but we have the guts that we got them real cheap. Now that I'm thinking about it, I might have to take one of those down and get a power supply. I have to climb the ladder again. That's not good. Definitely got to figure out something better for this in the future. But anywho's, all the parts and everything, pretty much I was into this for $50, but I'm not going to sell it with the i5 3rd or 4th gen. We actually have a different platform from another used parts deal that we picked up that we're going to flip in here. And as far as those, I just got to clean them, program them, bench test them. They're pretty much ready to go, and we can list those up for sale. But for this one, this is what we got. So in a used parts deal, I picked up a complete water-cooled system with a case lab case, which that one had some good value to it. And unfortunately, I wanted to keep that case. Well, I wanted to keep that case, but unfortunately, I couldn't keep it. It was too big, don't have enough room in the garage, and there was more value for me to let that case go and actually use it to get the money together to build my new rig. So on a side note, I have a 5950X. I've had it for what, 2 or 3 years, however long it's been out, maybe 2 years, I think. It's been fantastic and good, but I need to do upgrades on my test bench. The family members, they need better computers, and typically what I do is I take my older hardware and I just upgrade them with it because my stuff is still pretty good, and then their hardware, we just go ahead and flip it, just kind of keep the cycle rolling. But moving on to this, I got a mess in here. We got the RGB action, and I say this, I can't say this enough, folks. If you spend the extra $20 to get a little RGB, especially with the remote, which makes it life easier for the buyer, where they don't have to use software, you don't have to worry about the software crashing or anything like that, and they can change the colors, the computer will sell so much quicker. I've done it both ways, without RGB, actually 3 ways, also kind of using the integrated software, and I find that to be the best way. Now these are two 980s that came in that build. Unfortunately, I don't have any air coolers. They just had those EK water blocks. So if any of you guys have any air coolers for a EVGA Yeah, this is the 980. This one's a PNY 980. They're pretty much the same, kind of the whole Founder Edition or baseboard, whatever you call those. EVGA, PNY. If you have an air cooler for them, email me. Let me know. So this is what we got. Can we do this one-handed? Nope. Maybe. It's an X99. It's the i7 5930. We have a 500 gig M.2 and what was it? 16 gigs? 4, 8, 12, 16. Yeah, 16 gigs of DDR4. The whole quad channel action. It will be perfect for a decent gaming PC. For now, for a graphics card, because we got to keep within the budget and still be able to get some performance out of it. This is another one I picked up from the used parts hustle. Like I said, folks, I got to pay for my addiction somehow, and going out and getting used parts and flipping them is how you do it. This is the MXI. This is the MSI. I think it's the 580, 570. I can't remember. This is what we got. I got to pull out a power supply from up here. I need to find a cooler, which I do have a bunch of extra coolers lying around. And I also need to find the hardware for that cooler now that I think about it. So let me grab some more parts from up here and we'll start putting everything together. So for the power supply, which should be more than enough, got a Corsair CX600. The thing was practically brand new when I got it. Still had the sticker. I think the guy said he bought it and it wasn't for what he needed. And I actually have the box and all the cables. I've had it for 2 years and I've probably used it maybe a total of an hour, if that, maybe 30 minutes, just kind of randomly testing things. So for the cooler, we got the Be Quiet. And this is a one that I got from a computer build that somebody threw away because everything was fried. Long story short, the cooler was still good. But now I got to go in here and figure out my retention brackets. I do an okay job of organizing this, but I don't do the best job. And I could definitely do a better job. Okay, this says Be Quiet. So that might be it. Yeah, as you can see, I kind of throw things in here. Bunch of Arctic stuff. Don't know what that is. So let me go through this, see if I can find what I need to put this thing together. And so let me go through this and see if I can find what I need to put this thing together. So now that we got a nice fresh spread of the thermal paste, yes, I didn't show it on camera because, well, I forgot to turn the camera on. And also, people go crazy with thermal paste. I don't get it. Now, I ran this cooler with this type of set. Actually, I ran it with an X299 for a while. And it was more than enough to keep it cool. And now that I'm thinking about it, yeah, I gotta take the fan off. Bummer. All right, and we're done. So let's switch to the build montage, and we'll see how this thing comes out. So we're done. Pretty easy, very simple. This Fantex case cleaned up pretty well. Little tedious cleaning this front with those stickers. Now you can use a hot air gun, but my dad has it. Had to do it the old scratching way. Not using a razor blade, but a plastic razor blade works very well. Where did it go? I threw it somewhere around here. Yep. Get these on the whole Jungle website. They're about, what, $10 for a pack of 100 or something like that. Maybe even cheaper. But those work really good along with some Goo Gone. And yeah, looks brand new. A magic eraser works really good on white cases. It helps get away some of those stains and smudges. If you're going to use it on a darker color case, be careful as it is abrasive and it kind of leave those fade marks on it. But for this looks great. Everything cleaned up real nice. And this computer looks great. So now for the how and the why I do this to support my addiction is this. Why I do it? Well, like I said, to support my addiction. I love computers. They're fun to build. I like messing with all that type of stuff. And I found a way that I'm able to still fix things, repair things, which is therapeutic and enjoyable, and make money doing it. This computer is practically free. And now how I do this, I go out, get on the Facebook Marketplace, sometimes eBay, look for deals, people throwing stuff away, yard sales. I scoop this stuff up, and we're able to turn it into a decent computer. This computer is free. It didn't cost me anything. The Case Labs X99 platform, I was able to recoup pretty decent with that Case Labs case, which made this motherboard CPU combo pretty much free. The graphics cards, we picked it up for $20 on the Facebook Marketplace. But considering that the original build that had gotten with this case or put together with this case, that has already flipped. That's made me money. So the graphics card is free. The power supply is from an older system that was thrown out by somebody that I picked up. And yeah, all these parts is stuff that I've gotten, I've made money, I flipped and trade. And even that junk PC that somebody was scamming as a starter gaming PC, I was able to take that FX motherboard, flip that on the eBay for 80 bucks. Somebody actually bought it with the CPU, which is surprising. So between what I'm getting for this, the Case Labs, the X99, the junk computer and everything, I've netted myself a profit of $500, which is going towards building myself a newer, faster computer. But I'm not done. 500 is not enough, especially if you're keeping up with the market trends and how expensive things are. We still have more computers to flip. And if you look up here, I still have these two guys. Pretty decent. They will sell for about $150. There are some parts that I was able to scavenge and move. So pretty much, even though I paid $50 for each, I've already recouped on that, and we'll talk about that in another video, meaning that this is gonna be pure profit of $150 each, $300. So that gives me $800 towards my new build. Plus, I have other stuff up here that we need to put together, that there's profit in there. A laptop, which you'll see in a later video. So buying this old stuff, going out there, hunting, yes, time is money, but realistically, if I look at the time that I've invested in all this, probably maybe a couple of hours, which means $800 for a couple of hours of work is not too bad. Comment down below, let me know your thoughts, concerns, criticisms. Do you think this is worth it? Is there a good bang for the buck? And what are your experiences with buying used? Have you gotten hosed? Have you gotten great deals? Have you been able to make good flips? Definitely let me know. If you like this video, definitely hit the like button, subscribe if you're not, and as always, we'll see what we come up with next.